So welcome everybody to the Boots to Billings podcast. This is a premiere episode. My name is Al McFadden. I am the owner and founder of a company called Pitch to Placements. I'm joined today not only with my co-host but the partner of the show, Chris Faye, who is the owner and founder of AG Payroll. How you doing, Chris?
I'm alright, mate.
That's probably the most formal I've ever introduced you.
Good to be here.
Listen, I think to give you a bit of context for the show, my business has been going for about 8 months now, but probably been an idea of mine now for about 4 years in all honesty, where I wanted to give footballers a chance to build a career either during their football or after it, because there's too many stories out there of football players that get to the tail end of their career and don't have that opportunity and end up taking jobs that are just a means to an end. And it's a bit sad to me because there's so much success stories out there of footballers that have made that jump not only just into sales but into business and done very well at it. So essentially my business is to do a training course for football players and then give them the chance to then go into sales and recruitment roles. And with that in mind, I knew Chris was really passionate about this as well, so I wanted to do a podcast that brought on footballers that have made that jump and had that kind of very good career and then ended up having to make that decision of what to do next. So with that in mind, very first guest, very good friend of mine, but also somebody who I fully respect in the industry, has had an amazing career not only in this country, also in the States, and still playing at 40. I don't know if I told your age there or not, Nicki, but I want to welcome to the show the very first guest, who is, as I said, a friend of mine, but he's a Scottish Frank Lampard, Nicki Paterson. How you doing, mate?
I'm doing well, thanks.
What a build-up, by the way.
I know. Very humble over here, it's honest.
But honestly, mate, I said for day one when I thought about this podcast, you were the first person I wanted to go on. It's no secret me and you are good mates, but we've known each other for over 20 years. But really,
we'll see
really
after
keen.
this.
No, but I'm really keen. I said this to Chris, like, although we've had many conversations over the years, but you're just somebody who I believe is the perfect example of having that career. You did have quite a major injury, which I'm sure we'll get to, that then brought you to that crossroads of what you do next.
Yep.
And now you're probably, and again, the last compliment I'll give you today, you're probably one of the most top performing salespeople in the country. So we're keen to delve into what gets you to that point, mate. So again, I know where you started off, but if you can bring back for the guests, very first team was Aki's, wasn't it, back in the day?
Aki's was the first pro youth team. I probably would say career started Motherwell, right? I mean, I think right. like anyone else, you start playing boys club, friends, and I was in 85, all my mates were 84, so I always played up without really knowing. I remember going for a kind of trial game at 12 or 13 with Motherwell and did quite well, and they were like, we're going to sign you, and then I signed the contract and they were like, hold on a minute, you're an 85, so I get then put back a year, but then it was, oh, will you sign this pro youth instead? And I got a free pair of boots, and that for me was really that first moment that, oh, I've got a chance here, right? It didn't quite work out at Motherwell. I thought I was going to be full time. They chose some different choices, and you know, I was at that. It was probably that first bit of rejection. Actually, we'll probably get to that today as well. But 16, I was in 5th year at school. I got all my hires. It was like, why would I go back for six year? I'm going to be crashing stuff that maybe I don't need to. And I get the opportunity to go to Aki's at that point, and kind of that was me in the professional game for there.
Did you two know each other at that point, or did you play against them, Jake?
No, we're just talking about Hamilton Accies. I might have played against you at Hamilton Accies. Were they in League 2 at the time? League 2,
yeah. Won League 2, into League 1.
Aye, so the year they won it, I was with Albion Rovers, because when you said David...
would have been, aye.
When you said David McFarlane earlier on...
He was a top scorer that year,
yeah. Goals that season.
How good was he, by the way?
Amazing.
Dynamite, and great guy as well.
You talk about that quite a lot. Like when I first went into junior football, Davey was playing with that called Thistle. He was just he was an animal, man. Like, he just couldn't get the ball off him. He used to score for everywhere. And you just said, good guys. We brothers, good guys. Well, seen on your team.
Both from brilliant. He was high.
He'd been your age group.
Definitely, aye. And I mean, Aki's, it was different, right? Because you go from Motherwell, you've got everything. Aye. It's a good stadium. Aye. They've got the Astro. They've got all the kit. They've got 10 coaches, and you go to Hamilton Accies, and no disrespect, there was Bobby Jenks, who was an older guy, straight away. You're trying to play teens, 17, 18. I mean, the stuff that went on in the change room we probably can't talk about on this, right? But I was 16, so it would have been dead easy to get into a shell and you know what it was like then. There was a lot of bullying, hazing, trialists come in, you get the shit kicked at you straight away. So it was like getting back to school, almost in a way. But full-time football for me, YTS, was the time of your life. You trained for 2 hours, you cleaned kit, you know, but I think we played head tennis for 4 hours a day. Do you know what I mean? But that like, thinking back to that time, it was, we'd just moved into New Douglas Park. It was a cracking new stadium. You know, Accies were trying to get themselves back to a level, and again for them it was quite an interesting year. Like that first year I was 16 playing 18s, but the under 16 manager was Chris Hillcoat.
Right.
So I would play with under 18s with Bobby Jenks, 16 with Chris Hillcoat. At the end of the year they had a bit of financial struggles. I think it was Stepek Tellies or whatever owned them, and they pulled out. A lot of folk didn't get paid for a few months, but when you're on the youth training scheme you get paid through the government or whatever it is. And I think half the team left at that point. There was guys like Aaron Russell, who's now went on to be the England coach and superior striker and all that. Like he was one of the ones that was the golden boys that moved on. And Chris Hillcoat became the manager. So that put me straight in the first team right away at 17. And again, just an unfortunate circumstance turned into an opportunity for me.
An opportunity. And how did you end up then? Because that probably makes sense. Because when I was at Larkhill Thistle, the first year there was about 10 boys came for Accies. And I think you came, my second year there.
Yeah.
So how did that come about for being obviously Hamilton to come to play with a junior team?
When you go for being like full time at 16, first team 17, we then went part time at 18 because of the financial side of things, and the Clyde guys all kind of came in and took over. And to be honest, I was like pretty scunnered with it at that point. I felt like I was about to kick on at 18, and then I almost felt like I took a step back part time, and they brought in all these older guys. That was the way forward. I wasn't supposed to go and play a game where it was First Point USA at the time, and I wasn't supposed to go, but I wasn't sure if I even wanted to go, so I wasn't going to pay money to go if I wasn't definitely going to go. And they were like, why don't you come at the trial game, see how it goes? Scored 3 in the first game, and again they'd sold it as there was not just US coaches but Ireland and UK and whatever. And I just remember coming off the park. I'm still signed with Accies at the time, should never have been there. It was a Sunday, it was snowing, and there was a queue of about 20 coaches outside the changing room, all like handing me these like notebooks, you know, Hartford, California, whatever. And I just remember the last guy, full red boiler suit on, remember it's absolutely Baltic. And he's like, I'm Coach D from Vegas. How do you fancy coming and playing for me? And
I just Vegas.
I just ding, 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 ding. I was like, maybe I would do want to go to the States. So I had a missus at the time. I didn't even tell them. I had to go and do it was like clearinghouse you had to go and do. You had to go and do like some school stuff off the back of that. So the reason I ended up at Larkhill, long story short, was I couldn't be at a professional club to get through the clearinghouse. So I had to kind of take that step back, be amateur. That had to be my status. So I know that I was better than junior. I actually didn't know anything about junior at that point. I thought junior was older pros and whatnot. And that was a massive rude awakening because the level was 10 times better than I expected. Even Faddy was good.
The facilities were bad at Accies then. What about Larkhill?
Well, I remember arguing with, what was his name, the coach at the time?
Gary Folds.
Gary Folds. And
Gary looked after me a lot in my career, so
he was a golden child. Him and Davey were up front. And by the way, they earned that, right? But I don't think he took to me right away, right? It was just kid highlights.
It was I remember your first game and you took the ball off somebody to take a free kick and everybody was like, who's this? Do you know what I mean? It was one of the ones that was like, I'm taking that.
But I talk about facilities and stuff. Don't get me wrong, the guys were brilliant, right? Going from like the full-time world where that was great, don't get me wrong. The pattern the juniors was brilliant. You didn't get a yard, and by the way, the guys were doing what folk do on professional pitches on shit pitches. So to me, I always used to think, what would some of these players do if they got that opportunity as well? But that was always a means to an end for me, with it being wide. But we had a good time there. It was a really good team.
Do you think, looking back at it now, kind of like maybe toughen you up a wee bit or get you ready or something? What would you take for it, do you think, just being in? Because I know I spoke to Chris Biss loads of times. Junior football for me when I went for being like 18 into the changing rooms was tough, man, because you were having to try and...
It was a man's world, wasn't it?
100%. And all ex-pros, it just didn't give you an inch.
No. I remember my first game ever, right, with Cowdenbeath, coming out, winning the game, late on in the game, and into the changing room, and that's the horrible like pitch, right? I got a brand new pair of Preds and I had a Prada toilet bag. I put the Preds in the toilet bag, gone to the game, and on the way home, it was plastic bag, toilet bag in the pocket stuff. But there was a one bath for like 20 guys.
I remember.
I'm like, what's going on here? Like, that's juniors now. I've looked forward to the days, you know what I mean? But I probably massively appreciate the juniors more now in the last year or two that I've been involved in it at the age I'm at now than I did then. Like then, maybe there was an arrogance there that I felt, this is a means to an end for me. I'm going on to this and that, but definitely did toughen you up because there was a few scraps and scrapes and
I remember a few of them.
And still played junior then out at 40,
I've maybe got on to knee injury at some point, but COVID kind of was the perfect opportunity for me to retire. And after a year or so of doing nothing like everyone else, was a guy in cleaning my carpets one day, and I heard my wife having a conversation. I'm like, who's she talking to here? It's a guy called Neil Schonville, and he's like, what's Nicki doing for the football? I've got a good chance of getting the Les Mihigo job. Do you think he'd be interested? And I was just interested in anything that got me out the house at that point. So that kind of got me back in as an assistant manager, coaching, and got me that probably bug back for it. Faddy going to East Kilbride 35s meant I had to go up front for the last few games of the season, which I scored a few goals in that made me, could I play, could I not? You always played in training
and stuff, like, to be fair to you, didn't you? You were always like capable.
But I was doing a lot left-footed at that point because I thought my knee wasn't quite right. And I probably played a year on and off until we moved on. And it was only going 35s again where he made a run one day and I played a long diagonal. I was like, oh, that worked. And I actually think a 4 or 5 month spell of doing nothing and hitting the gym for a while, something healed itself back up, and I've had no issues with my knees for the last 18 months. Massively. So even at 40, I feel 30.
Fair play,
for my mental health, for my getting out of the house, for the banter, for all those reasons, like I've absolutely loved playing again, and I had a bit of a decision to make because I was loving East Kilbride 35s, but it was only every second Friday. I missed that competitive edge, because there's games with East Kilbride that were amazing, don't get me wrong.
But then there's other games of beating teams 18.
But one of my best friends took the 4th juniors job, and he was like, fancy helping me out.
Aye. I know of him.
So Jerry's done a good job there.
Well, here's a quick question then. You talked about that Lark Hall dressing room back in the day in the juniors. What's the junior dressing room now compared to back then?
I was going to get to that.
It's interesting, right? Because he used to say, Nicki didn't really care. But when he was younger, he just did what he wanted to do anyway, and wore what he wanted, and hair the way he wanted. The young team don't care anymore. Right?
So different don't care. I meant you just didn't care what people thought you.
Like do you mean no passionate about the game, or just don't care? You can't shout at them, or
a bit of all of that. Right? What I mean is that level of hierarchy and respect isn't the same as it used to be. Like, see, coming in, knuckling down, you might have a bit about you, but you respected the hell out your elders at that point, no matter what, or you get the shit kicked at you. Now that doesn't happen.
There's no fear.
Coaches aren't as much hairdryer anymore because it goes in one ear out the other and they go somewhere else. Like the resilience levels of the young team nowadays is zero, in my opinion. And if they have even a little bit of it, they've got a chance in whatever they want to do. But our dressing room's fairly young. Like my missus cracks up. Like night out with them, there's like 10 of them are 18 to 22. There's a 25, there's a 26, there's a 30. Delighted to be signing a 36-year-old the other day.
Was that Matt?
Eva.
Oh, Bambo.
Quality. But it's a really, the toughest part for me now is my best mate's the manager. So it's that fine line. I think we've managed to get past it now because the boys know I will work my ass off at all times. We kind of hide now as well. We've got the vests, which we've not had for a while, so you can see who's run what and whatever. But it's a really different dynamic from any changing room that I've been in the past.
Stick with that theme then for me, because I'm quite keen to know, after you left obviously that call, right, you went to America, you went to Vegas for 4 years. I used to keep in contact with you, and it was a different world to what I was experiencing in Glasgow, that's for sure. But what was the culture change there? Because obviously I get you're studying, but I'm keen to know, what was the kind of standard like earlier, or the boys in the changing room going for like a junior team in Scotland to that?
If I look back now, I was probably a bit naive as well, right? I thought everybody was in a full ride. Everybody got everything paid for them, so everybody felt like a professional. And when I walked in day one, they genuinely handed me like 4 Adidas trackies, 3 training kits, 2 pair of Preds, and I'm like, I didn't get this anywhere. And you're meeting the equipment guy, you're meeting the physio, you're doing a 4-hour like medical, like everything. I was like, this is insane. Then you had to go and they were like, what do you want to do for uni? And I was like, I don't know. Genuinely, I thought I'd go for a year and go back and try and play again. Down south or whatever. I don't know, maybe a bit naive. But I only found out about 3 months later that there was only about 6 scholarships between a 25-man squad, and I had one of them. There was a boy that just came from Southend, but he'd been at Arsenal before, had the other one. And then there was a boy from Inverness that had done the junior college route, and he was probably the one that kind of took the naivety out of me fairly quickly, because you realise really quickly that there was a Russian guy, there was a Spanish guy, but most of the boys were local Vegas guys that were no very good, hoping to get their books paid for them, whereas my scholarship was 25 grand a year. So I went in again, that effort, that work rate, that shouting at boys the same way you would do in a junior changing room, and they're like one ear out the other. I'm here to get myself into uni. They have no interest in being a professional football player, half of them. And the coach was a guy called Barry Bartow, who, unbeknown to me, was in his last year, and this was his roll of the dice. Bring in 2 Mavericks, get them through the clearinghouse. They played pro before. You probably shouldn't have been able to do that before, and they'll help me save a job. He'd been in his job 26 years. He get fired after 6 months. But him getting fired is the best thing that ever happened to me. They brought in a coach called Mario Sanchez, like a Hispanic guy, but he was my Jose Mourinho at that point. He was the data guy, he was the stat guy, and he just sat me down and took me through everything that was going to happen, and it all happened.
See, the thing is with that, because I got offered a scholarship when I was 17, my first point USA, who my brother-in-law is the operations manager there, by the way. I didn't realise.
Do you know, I'm sure I mentioned his name the other day.
JP Boyle.
I know JP. JP Boyle was in New York when I went to Vegas.
Oh, was it? Well, JP's my brother-in-law. And
he was at the same trial game as me, scored 3 in the other park, I think, if I remember right.
Jay was a brilliant player. Him and Naismith were up front for Kilmarnock. But it was Andrew Keane who offered me the scholarship. I think
Joe McLaughlin was involved as well.
But it was Ohio University I got offered at the time.
Wow.
And I'll be honest, I shit the bed because missing the family and do you know what I end up doing instead? Signing my Airdrie. And see now I speak to JP.
My God.
JP says Ohio is one of the best universities in America, and I'm like, I don't. At that time,
Buckeyes
it was just,
or something like that.
It was just too big a jump. So fair play to you for doing that.
I mean, I literally I'd been going out with somebody for a few years. There was no even one doubt in my mind the minute that happened that I was going to make that happen.
I remember that, but you were so clear and gone there.
For me, and I remember my mum, she was a bit the same, like, what's going to happen? My dad was like, go for it, son. It's the worst that's going to happen.
I know your dad, he was thinking trips to Vegas.
And he made the most of them, that's for sure.
He's over all the time, every couple of weeks.
But I mean, like, I look at it now, and there's a few boys I've sent to the States, there's a few boys I've recommended to go different places, there's a few folk that will contact me and say, can you speak to my son or daughter, they're thinking about it. I can't not say go and do that, right? Because it's made me who I've become
you still get
in the future.
New for there, don't you?
Honestly, I probably don't keep in touch with folk enough.
As much.
Like a many bloody football WhatsApp groups can you be in, but I think it's the quality of the relationships as well over the years. Like there's boys out there that have became coaches, that have get married, that have get kids, or that have come home as well. And I mean, honestly, it's just been just one hell of a time.
Vegas, these pals that they've your top man for like half of the clubs out there. Forrest, such a good guy.
I'm not allowed to go to Vegas for the count.
So anybody watching this ever goes to Vegas, I'll introduce you to Forrest Smith. But this was a guy that, you know, Californian, board shorts, couldn't do 10 press ups, and he was like yoked. And I remember about 2 weeks in, sitting in a class up the back one day, and he's like, what are you up to tonight? And I was like, nothing. He's like, do you fancy going to Tao nightclub? I was like, it's only 20, didn't even have an idea or anything. And I'll never forget this.
Because the first guy was his job bank.
He's like, listen, I'll give you a shout later anyway, I'm going to be working tonight. And I was like, it's fine. No joke, I got a knock on my door that night from, because the way they had it was like all the guys on one side, all the women on the other side. So there was like 2 tennis players across the road for me, one Swedish, one from Norway or something. And they knocked on the door like, Nicki, we've just found an ID in the parking lot. Looks exactly like you. I had a shaved head at the time. I was like, Forrest, can I still come to Tal tonight? Went that night, ended up on a table right next to Mike Tyson.
Did you?
First night out in Vegas, I was like, you can't, never spoke to him or that, but you can't write that. Do you know what I mean?
Wild.
and he's been looking after every Scottish contingent going to Vegas for the past 8
It's
years.
obviously my missus' pals of years, but I think they sorted Gaelic and our cousin when she was there as well. She sort of Nicki sorted that for us.
He runs basically the Hackensack group now of all these different pool parties, hotels, chains, but what a place, Vegas.
So take me for uni because I can't remember what order you went in, but I know you played indoor football there for a bit. Was that after uni?
I was after. So I kind of got drafted out of uni into pro game for there. So the first team I was signed was a kind of affiliation team for DC United called Real Maryland.
God, you said that because I've got it in front of me and I can't pronounce half of the stuff that was on it.
into there. So a year there, I actually spent a wee bit of time in Austin, Texas, but that franchise moved to become what you now know as Orlando and MLS. But as they changed franchise, everything kind of moved into new ownership. I got an opportunity at that point and a good contract to sign for Charleston, which was a big moment because they were one at the first ever soccer specific stadium in America. They had about 3-4 million of memorabilia up in the pub in the main stand. I'm talking signed balls for Pele, shirts Maradona, like just insane. But it was just roasting. The stadium was beautiful, the weather was amazing. Like that for me was my last single year and first year of being with my wife in the States as well.
Did you not come back to and play Clyde for a wee bit? Because I remember seeing you, I was at a training thing inside one of these places, it was snowing, and it was Christmas time or something if I remember right, and you came in, I think you met Cheryl at, did you meet Cheryl at a wedding or something?
In between first and second year of, I think it was Charleston, because the season used to be 8 months in the States, and 4 months is a long time for any of us. Like the thought of no doing it, Americans were like, great, 4 months, I'll go play basketball. I'm like, I'll go on loan or whatever. So I went on loan to Clyde at that point, and that was under, who was that one under? So that was under
Cowboy we were in. Bomber, then Cowboy, and then
Jim Chapman?
No, Chappie. Jim Duffy.
That's right, aye.
Jim Duffy, and who was his assistant at the time? Celtic, Chick Charnley.
Stefan McCluskey in then?
Stefan was in as well.
Stefan's good.
What was Chick Charnley like?
A legend.
By
the way, jump into training, it's still about out the road.
You know the story about Chick playing trial with Celtic down at Man United? He played in the Ryan Giggs testimonial, scored, set one up, and then just for some reason it never happened. But he was probably the best player in the Celtic team at the time.
That's why we've done it.
But he's supposed to be some player, eh?
I mean, alright career as well, but I've heard could have went on and done more things. But the two of them were brilliant with me. They knew as well it was like we played 20 games in like 4 months.
I seen it was like 17s on the Wikipedia. I've already off that's true or no, but I seen you were there for a bit of chunk of time. So
when I was at Clyde, I'm just trying to remember if this was Clyde or Sten. I'm sure it was Clyde. I remember playing in a game away sometime. There's folks scrapping in the stands. Ended up being my old man. Somebody was keying me keying the ball away or whatever. So when I left, remember that pine Bovril? I'm not really on or whatever, but my dad used to be on it all the time. And when I left, they were great with me. Nicky's left and wish him well and whatever. Someone said, well, his highlight would be his dad scrapping up in the stand at Steny or whatever it was. So, brilliant. But no, I loved Clyde. But Charleston really was a big springboard. I had my best 2 years probably as a pro, 2 of them anyway, but when I was at Charleston, and that's what obviously led to going to New York and for a bit and stuff like that as well. Like, I used to watch him on YouTube and stuff like that because it was class, let's see, but the American commentators were genius. See if you heard him. I still know to this day, whoever he is, I'll shout, Nicki Paterson's on fire! Every time you score, he used to come out. So, but I used to watch it, I used to be pure, and I used to get the odd game, or you'd share it or something, I'd go and watch it, it was class.
What was the standard like? Obviously uni, I'd imagine the difference between uni and that's massive.
Uni was so high and low, you could play a great, amazing team, and you could play teams that were honking it as well. By the time I got to Charleston USL, there was kind of a MLS, USL, NAS. There was competing leagues, and then it ended up being just kind of a USL 1-2. But once you got into that USL, NASL, MLS, like I would say there was a lot of players at USL and NASL level that were better than MLS level, but just the politics of it in MLS, you get a set amount per squad, you can have so many foreigners, you can have so many designated players. It's really, it was like they were flying in first class and the rest of the team were back in the air, all that kind of stuff. It's wild. I mean, and honestly, that's the way they were like as well. Those guys wouldn't talk to those guys, they wouldn't even see these guys. And right at that point, the money was still really, really shit for the lower end. Now it's like $100,000 minimum wage in MLS because the way they've done the bargaining agreement. But when I was at Charleston, standard them was right good. Everybody was fit. That was the main thing.
You were the main man there, but you know, I remember watching games and like people you'd always score important goals from us. I remember a lot of penalties, a lot of free kicks.
I went on a good run my second year in Charleston. Like, we made the playoffs and get put out first year, and the most expensive loss in my career. That because I come back for a wedding, I ended up meeting my wife and in the Archies on the Saturday, and 4 weeks later.
Cheryl, if you're listening to this, I'll back you up.
You've been
she absolutely knows it and doesn't care. But we took obviously, and when I was getting back, not to go on loan in Scotland. This time I decided to go and do a loan at Baltimore Blast, the top indoor team.
I remember
we were getting
you telling me
like 15,000 fans.
Aye.
The money there was frightening as
What's
well.
the surface on the indoor?
It was like a carpet.
Because you're wearing like, I remember seeing the pictures that you're wearing like we did Proy's AstroTurf
Do you remember back when we were really young, used to play indoor on the wood and you had that yellow ball? That's the only way I can kind of describe it, but it was like that type of felt.
Was it 11?
11 aside,
you just bang it. No, it was 6 aside.
Oh, was it, right?
But you had like 3 teams, special teams, like it was like on, off, and you'd be like on for a minute, off for a minute. That minute you were blown.
I mean, you tell me.
And like I was actually a bit of an understudy, a guy that was like the best in the league. So he would do like 2/3, I would do a third. Training was frightening, but you play like 7v. That was a brilliant experience. And I went on and had my best year as a professional after that because my touch was just frightening.
Imagine I in there.
Like, I was playing with Brazilians who all they did was toe it and move it, and you learned to play the space, not just the man as well. Like every movement to the ball was a movement away. Like honestly, that was what an experience that was for me. Like
you kind of get into that 26, 27 age, Jamie, probably right in your prime age.
I remember so Charleston every year I do this 3 MLS teams. They come to Charleston as part of their pre-season. It's a bit of a tournament. And I did a good year the first year. And again, we brought down New York, we brought down Seattle, and there was somebody else. And I did really well in that tournament. I scored like 4 and 3 or something like that. And that was where New York put a pick on me, Seattle put a pick on me. And that's the way they do it in the States. They pay like $1,000 and they say, I own Nicky's rights.
Right.
I'm interested in that one. So, I've told this story to people before because I remember like when you went there, Cheryl went with you, if I remember right. And like you were telling me like Henry was at the time at New York and stuff like that. But what happened with that move? Because you were gone and then something never... You end up with Ottawa, I think, after that. But what happened?
So... getting to the final with Charleston, I've scored the quarters and the semis, a penalty in both games to take us there. So we're playing at home advantage. We were the 3rd seed, but we ended up playing the 5th seed. So we'd knocked out 1 and 2 had been knocked out. We're playing Wilmington, who we've beat 2 times the regular season. But it was North Carolina, South Carolina derby. So usually games can be dead spread. There's no away fans. This was going to be hostile. And I found out during the week that Seattle Sounders wanted to sign me to go there. Then I found out Kansas City were even more interested in me going there, and that was Martinez was the gaffer then. And then we found out New York had my rights, and then try to figure out what does that even mean, right? So my agent at the time, who's only ever really done one contract for me, starting to explain this all to me. He's like, just go and boss the final and we'll take care of it. But the MLS window closed 4 days after the USL final. And then there was a 3-month left of the MLS season because that was 10 and a half, 11 months. I lost £9 in that final. We won 1-0, scraped over the line, but just like that was a game that I was playing for more than just a final. In my eyes, it was an opportunity for MLS as well. Get pissed that night, and then the next day I was on a flight to New York because other teams, New York were basically, unless you want to buy his rights for 30, 40, 50 grand, it's coming here.
It's wild out there, that.
So I get to New York, turn up for training, get introduced to everybody. Tim Cahill walks by, I'm like, how you doing? This other guy's on trial with me, 6'6", Kaka's brother. He's got to be fucking kidding me, yeah. And he's a centre half. He's played everywhere Kaka's played. He's been on loan to 8 teams. He's got 3 professional appearances in 8 years.
You could have took me room with you.
So honestly, first session I've done really well. He's pulled up with an injury, going, this is going well. Second session did well again. He's not even trained. Third session we've trained on New York's Park. They were just building a new $50 million
it's amazing now,
like training academy and all that at the time. But we played on the park because they were playing a game the next day. I'm picking up Tim Cahill for set pieces. Didn't get near him once, to be fair, but it was one of those ones where I just felt part of it right away. They pulled me into the office and said, look, we're going to sign Kaka's brother, but we're not letting you go anywhere else. Quite simply, we're no trading you away to anybody else. We'd like you to stay here, play with the reserves, train mates every day, one of our players' foreign spots will become available at the end of the season and we're signing you for next year. It's a Swedish coach, Hans Backer. Honestly, it just made me feel 10 feet tall, and I went out of there not saying make me get somewhere else and make it work. I want to stay. So they put me up in the W Hotel, Hoboken, looking across at Manhattan every day for 2.5 months. I played 5 reserve games, scored 4. Kaká's brother never made 1 appearance. But Kaká was coming to MLS, and the idea was that Kaká would play with Henry and whatever. So again, an amazing 3 months. I get married in that off season.
That's right.
Oh no, sorry, I get engaged in that off season.
You married at Christmas time, did you know?
Hans Backer get fired. What happens now? Charleston had offered me a new 3-year contract for more money because they get more money the more money I was on and the longer my contract. But they didn't want me back. They wanted the money for me. And I'm like, what's going to happen? The assistant coach became the head coach, and that had been the reserve manager, and he's like, you're back for pre-season 10th of January. Sailed through pre-season. Had a great time. Again, I was there for 3 months. Most of it was in Florida, and 2 days, signed contract, moved into an apartment with Cheryl. She'd moved out 2 days before the season. We were playing the opening game of the season. Pulled me in and said, we've signed a guy from PSG. Peggy Lyon Dula, some young boy. Same agent as Henry, and we're going to trade you back to Charleston for now and sign you in 6 months' time. For fuck's sake. Charleston didn't want me back. They had to get rid of 4 players to cover my wage. Now I've got a missus, so I need to get a house, no a flat. And it caused a bit of friction between me and the Charleston manager for really no reason. I didn't really want to be back at Charleston, although I loved it there.
You did a taste of something else as well, didn't you?
And I felt I had 3 chances with New York, Seattle, Kansas. None of them worked because 2 days before the MLS season, there's no foreign spots available.
I bet there's a big difference between New York and Charleston for living there.
Totally different. So
you loved your time there, didn't you? The New York side, I remember that. You loved being there. You loved being involved.
I could go to New York every day, and it felt like the first time I was in New York. And it was a great stadium. I was playing with arguably one of the best players that there ever is. And he was great with me, but Tim Cahill was probably the best person I've ever met in football, and some others as well, some really good American players, Dax McCarty and stuff. But that then meant we went home, we get married and ended up in Ottawa the next year. What
about Henry then? You've just threw Henry in there as if
it doesn't date much because I've had him slaughtered about a few times.
I can't believe you mentioned Henry 4 times and no, like, we're into that in more detail.
People can Wikipedia him in New York, doesn't he come up, so he looks like he's
lying. I mean, I was there for 6 months, and other than a couple of articles, you'd never know, but I kind of like that a bit as well. But like, honestly, I can only describe him as being way bigger than you expect him to be. And he was at 37, 38,
to end his career,
still lightning. He called me big man for the first 2 months, which meant he didn't know my name, probably.
I did that all the time.
But he was, honestly, he taught me something that his favourite player was Freddie Lundberg.
Was it?
Right, loved Lundberg, and he said he never had pace, and if you think of Lundberg, he never had pace. Right, but if you watch most people, they dribble on the balls in their front foot, touching it forward. If you go back and watch Lundberg, Pires. Robert Pires.
Lundberg, don't know where you get
Lundberg from, but Pires. And Pires dribbled with the ball on his back foot, and he used to pause on his front foot, but really what he was doing, he was prying it for that person to dive in, and he would touch the ball and he was pushing off at the same time. Apparently Pires taught Henry, who was lightning, how to do that. And if you think of Henry's career, it was Juve and Arsenal in that left wing, blowing by people, and then he was away. I think it was maybe last Friday, that 30 minutes, and it's like Alan Shearer's top goals, Henry's top goals. I sat and watched him sitting going, I played for this guy for like 6 months. One game he's like, I'm going to score for a corner today. For a game, he scored for a corner that day. Like, he was he was the captain, right? He was the role model. The Americans were shit scared to even talk to him. Every day he came in, he'd let Beats headphones sitting there before they've been even come out. Like, he was on a different level I've ever seen before.
I take it you're just typical Scottish, the guy, speak to anybody, soaking it all in.
We'll get to that when he gets to his recruitment career, man. Try to get me stop talking to people's issue.
I know. Time's up.
Talks to everybody.
But it probably made me fit in, right? Because there was 6-7 foreigners at New York, and I'd have been the guy on the least out of everybody there. But I think that's one thing that really helped me in the States was, you know, I've always wanted to at least constructively talk. My dad always was like both feet talk.
Yeah.
He totally instilled that in me. But in the US, that definitely helps you. Stats and talking are two things that really help you stand out. But for me, like, it just got me right into that international circle right away. Don't know, I didn't think it was my turn to pay the meals because they were always a fortune. But there was a boy, Lloyd Samfield Leeds, there was Cahill, there was other boys other than me as well, and again it probably gave me a confidence I never even knew that I had, and taking that back into Charleston and back into Ottawa for that point.
So Ottawa was, I tell you a bit of this story, but I was literally sitting in my living room, right, and I was you do all the older channels, but we have all the, I'm looking through Eurosport. It was like 12 o'clock in the day, right? It was like live press conference. I set this tables there, and I'm like, what's this? I just paused because I thought it was unusual. He walks in with Cheryl, sits down, and I'm like, what's going on here?
Well, but
it was, I mean, fair play, he was the first signing ever for Ottawa Fury, so there was a big deal made him. But this manager sitting there like that, I've signed Nicki, he's a great guy, he's energetic. If I could explain him, he's like the Scottish Frank Lampard. I'm like that on my phone, right, Nicki, Scottish. So I don't let him forget it now. But I mean, fair play to you, man. I mean, you were the first signing there. They made a huge deal about you when you had a look at it. What was that like? I mean,
were they the top league, the MLS? Or
so it was NASL. So NASL were kind of the side of USL, but they were trying to compete with MLS. They felt MLS were trying to monopolise it, and a few teams had broke away. So your old like Tampa Bay Rowdies and a lot of those clubs that the Beckenbauers and the Pelés and that had played with back in the day had all went NASL. So Ottawa were in between Toronto and Montreal as MLS clubs. Huge city, the capital of Canada, which
not many people
probably didn't know that before I signed.
But Toronto, didn't they?
I remember halfway through that last year in Charleston, my agent starting to speak to this guy, Mark Dos Santos, and still the best football brain I've met in my life. He's the assistant coach of LAFC in MLS. Then now he's been Vancouver Whitecaps head coach, Montreal head coach. This guy was like a father figure, a coach. He's the first leader I played for. Genuinely, like, he came through. He was Canadian Portuguese. He came through the Mourinho school of coaching. Everything was like meticulously planned, detailed, and every speech before a game you went out ready to go through a wall for this guy. Like, his training was like 54 minutes, you're done, and you were ready to go. No, you're done. No, I need to go. Not done. But that next day you were like, poof. And he assembled a team and we won a league in our first season, which is insane. But obviously I'd done my knee that year, which was the second year, which was interesting.
Because this is obviously, it's been a big like driver of my business. You're one of 50 people who I know that have had that career, and something happens, whether it's an injury or it's something. So this part is the part I've been most interested, because we haven't had many conversations about this.
But you say the other part wasn't interesting?
No, but for me, that is the part of
my dark days. Unbelievable.
I know the dark days. Let's really bring you down. I did promise I'd try and get you a grade.
It's hard.
So, no, but what I'm trying to do here is with the business idea, it was you're one of the guys that's inspired me to do this idea, because I've had many friends that have got to that, either an injury or they've got to 32, 33, 34, and they've gone, wait a minute, I've worked really hard to be a football player. Now all of a sudden, either it's took away for you like it was with you, and I know you managed to get back and continues to play, right? But what was that like when you've got a missus there, you've got the injury? She's obviously, I know Cheryl, and she was wanting to come home. I remember done enough travelling with you and stuff like that. But what was your mind like at that point? Because you must have been thinking, what am I going to do?
I had 2.5 tough years. Like, see, when I first went to Ottawa, I felt a pressure being that first signing. And 2 days before our home opener, went into a daft tackle with a trialist and tweaked my MCL. I was only out for 6-7 weeks, but it was the first
injury
proper thing. I used to go out and blaze balls over the place, not even warm up, and all of a sudden a home opener in front of 20,000 get took away from me, and that hurt big time. First came back actually was a friendly against Rangers, who were on their Canadian tour at the time, and a guy gave me a hospital ball against Ian Black, which don't remember, I won that, so I felt fine after that. But I had a real tough first year. I didn't make the impression I wanted. Pre-season stalled. I didn't do well. Genuinely a point where I think they were like, should we have done this? So I had a massive fire between year 1 and year 2, and I started like a train. We signed a boy, Julian de Guzman, who was the Canadian captain, to take my place, and that wasn't happening. I was lucky as well, because the Irish boy that was playing with Richie Ryan, who's had a brilliant career, he was 2 years older than me, and he was like, I want to come he done his knee, and I took his place in it, and again it worked out. But basically, we had our son 2 days before the summer break. We were sitting top of the league, undefeated at the turning point of the year, and after a 2-day, not that I'd done anything, but 2-day having the kid, I decided to cheekily go to training, and then they were like, look, we're just going to play an hour bounce game, you fancy it? And I was like, I'm a bit tired, but fuck it, I'll play. And collision with my own goalie, ended up in the same ward as the ward next door to my wife. That thinking back to that was just soul destroying, genuinely.
It's a decision you make that just changes.
I had 6 months left in a 2-year contract that I hadn't impressed the first year. I'd done well the second year, but we all knew the coach was leaving at the end of that year. There was a lot of unknowns. So I went from I'm feeling back to I'm having a kid and shitting yourself anyway to, now I had 6 months of really, really hard rehab. I set my mind and it's coming back. We lost in penalties to New York Cosmos. Royal scored a winning penalty against us, but my whole goal was
I like it. I'll keep it coming.
They told me 8-9 months that I was going to be out, and I said I'd set when's the final? The finals then, and we knew we were going to be in the final 4 players because we won the regular season, etc. And that was my goal, to be back in that squad for that, and I was, but that was a real tough. It was the first time. I was only 28, 29, but that was when I started thinking about the coaching and started coaching businesses, and I probably was a shit dad the first 6 months because I was away for so many parts of it. I blamed everybody apart from myself, then as well. But it was some dark days. Like, I thought I was coming back, then I had to get back from my brother's wedding and bevied for a week and set myself back 3 weeks, and all that sort of stuff. But I managed to get back, and then I had a really, really lucky moment, because I actually think if I hadn't left Ottawa, I'd still be there now. But my agent managed to get me a 2-year contract in Indy, coming off an ACL, without playing any games, signed on with my agent's word, and I had to again then do a pre-season myself back in Scotland. So I ended up doing it with Mother of all teams, and they were great with me to help me get back and then go to Indy. Great year with them. So I thought, I'm over this injury, I'm back. End of the season, by the way, we lost again in New York 2 years in a row in a playoff, which again was tough. But my wife said to me 2 days before the final, I'm homesick, I want to go back home. You've got to be kidding me. I've got the best contract in my life sitting in the next year. Just come back for this injury. I've just had a good season, and you want to take it away from me. But she'd followed me for 8 years. You know what I mean? Like, it was the first grandkid.
As well.
My dad got it, but my mum was home, brilliant. But went from amazing apartment, playing around the States, golf, kids, family life, to and staying with your mum and dad, not knowing who I'm signing for. And I was maybe going to go to St Mirren, then Livingston. Just didn't work out. I'll not go through all the details, but just didn't quite work out right money-wise. And I knew right there and then, I'm going to start working again here.
I need to.
Part-time football's going to be...
What age were you at that stage?
30.
And
30.
And was... Correct me if I'm wrong,
30,
was
30,
Monster your
31.
first?
Honestly, I don't even know how that happened. Like, I think I knew a couple of boys that were in there. They'd been at Yale before that I knew, and Yale, Monster was the new Yale, and it was like, I signed for East Fife, which was a terrible decision.
Who was the gaffer there?
Gaffer then was who was the gaffer then? So Gordon Young was the assistant,
Right.
and it was Smith. Christ, that's terrible. I can't get Paul Smith out my head, but that was an old Motherwell coach.
Smudger.
I'll figure it out. But East Fife, every game was an away game. Mum and Dad have got a caravan up in Ely. Hate Fife. Do you know what I mean? Not in it. And
big shout out to all the Fife fans.
I did not enjoy my time there. Some great boys and some good, really decent team and whatnot, but you went up there, the wind battered japes, freezing, like Scottish seasons, misses the summer out. Do you know what I mean? And then you were either at Cowdenbeath or you were at Fife. You were at Stranraer, you were at Fife. You were at Peterhead or you were at Fife. And it was
The
just...
Lower Leagues kills you, don't you?
Aye.
That travelling.
Do you know, the games didn't kill me. We trained at the Orium.
Yeah.
So I would get up and leave at 7 o'clock from mum and dad's house to go to Monster, to get straight to the showcase, to go there. Then the motorway was shut off. Then it was genuinely, there was nights I was in tears.
Aye.
Backy guys' motors, like, what the fuck am I doing here?
Aye.
For just because it was a wee bit more money than a local team. And Monster gave me my first glimpse of that sales and recruitment and whatever. Which I really don't know how that all happened.
It's amazing how
But
stars align though.
I knew it wasn't right for me. I knew it wasn't. For day one, I knew this. Like, you'd manager saying, get off the phone. He say, why is you not getting any talk time? Like, well, you just took me off the phone. Like, I just couldn't. That was the worst man management I've experienced.
Yeah.
Some very talented salespeople and whatnot, but I knew it wasn't for me. I knew East Fife wasn't for me, and it probably showed in performance in both, to be honest.
After Monster, so I know a lot of people work there with you, and obviously you take learnings for that like we do with everything, but how soon did Solution Driven come by? So I'm interested to talk about this.
So the sales director of Solution Driven had worked at Yale before. Now, I'd worked at Yale and I'd went to Norman Clyde, because even though I'd played pro at there, I was saving up to get engaged at that point. So I actually went to Norman Clyde and took a 3-month contract with Yale. Known to them at the time that was a 3-month contract, but it wasn't mine.
Good money there, wasn't it? Yeah.
And they brought in 35 people in a Genesis team to do new business, and they said they were going to promote one within 3 months. And the day I got promoted was the day my visa came through to go to the States. So I felt like a bit of a dick at that point, but I loved that 3 months. The team was brilliant. Like, I smashed that job. It was, selling like Google AdWords and stuff like that. So I actually quite enjoyed it. The banter was great. Nights out galore, played with Clyde. It was a really enjoyable 3-4 months. But then I went back. But the sales director for Yale for Glasgow, or the head of Glasgow, ended up being the sales director of Solution Driven. Yeah. So genuinely within about 3 or 4 weeks of him knowing that I was even back in Scotland, he was trying to get me to leave Monster and go to Solution Driven, and I was like, no leaving Monster that I hate to go to Solution Driven, that'll be rubbish as well. Like, I was just didn't know what I wanted to do at that point, and eventually I agreed to meet him. We met in the champagne bar at Central. Nice. Had 3 pints. He showed me genuinely what...
Getting drunk?
No joke. He showed me bonus slips of people on the team. Showed me what they were doing, what the targets were, who they worked with. Probably not the best thing to be doing from a GDPR point of view, right? But I was like, that actually sounds a bit of me. Yeah. And he's like, just meet with the CEO and see what you think. And he set me up a 1-to-1 with Gav, turned up, and I had my mum's money or something, and there's an Audi R8 sitting there at the front door. And I was like,
who's this?
Right, hold on a minute here, this guy's going to be a tosser. And he was absolutely brilliant.
He's probably one of the most influential people now when you look back at your life, mate, and I mind anything else.
He will watch this, and I have got loads to be thankful for this guy. Like, think him as now a father figure, brother figure, mate, boss, you name it. But that conversation we haven't changed everything.
Tell Chris his claim to fame. He tells everybody, what was it, the youngest
ever owner of a football team in Scotland, and guess who that was? Airdrie.
Oh, was it?
So my mad Airdrie fans, him and his dad.
Him and his dad were part of the consortium that stopped them going bust at one point.
Right.
And then gave it back to the fans.
And by the way, they are so passionate about it. I genuinely had a conversation with Water last year where he said to me, what was it last year, the playoffs or the year before? And they were due to come up, and he said to me, I've got Champions League tickets, or I've got Airdrie, whoever they were playing, and he went to the Airdrie game.
But these fans, these guys in the lower league, they're as passionate about that as we are about Celtic Rangers and all that as well.
Between Airdrie and Solution Driven and family, that's the 3 things that are the most important to them, and it shows day in, day out. But Water, who might watch this, will maybe not know this, but Gavin almost had hired me and shooed me in before I even met his dad, who was the founder. You're supposed to do these psychometric tests, Alan, I'll tell you. I'd already signed and then did them later, thankfully passed them later on. But I just met Gavin, he's like, look, we're not a recruitment agency, here's what we do. We're a business that happens to do recruitment, here's what we stand for, here's this. And I was like, this guy's energy and passion's like
it's
getting me going again. And it just worked because he was looking for somebody to come in and maybe eventually take some accounts for him with all this growth in the States, work with US clients, but in Germany, in the States. And I'm like, so I could phone them up and say, we're already working with you in 4 countries. And it just, honestly, I just went in and straight away, I knew a couple of the salespeople that they'd been at Yale. Again, they were getting me, here's who we work with, and I just went, who are the top 15 clients? Let me find 5 competitors each, and I was just an animal for a year to just do what they were doing, but more of it. No better name, just more of it, to get as many of my own stories as quickly as possible and just rinse and repeat. And it's
even 8.5 years later, still here. A few times, like the stories I've heard you, I mean, me and you worked together at Solution Driven for 2 years. The amount of stories you could tell for even just non-local places in America, it gets you an indoors that probably back then you'd have never realised, because you can go,
just look at my LinkedIn
I've been
pictures,
there, I've done X, or
a football picture. Because my first conversation ever at Solution Driven, the lady said to me, she was in the US, tell me about your picture. And I was like, I played there. And she went, can I give you a bit of advice? Never change it, because women will love it and guys love sport.
And that's it.
And that was it for me. I was like, well, I'm never changing that.
But see, the thing is, you went into Monster, went into Yale, and then obviously went to Solutions Driven. You've only played football, so you've not had any proper sales training.
None,
but,
zero.
Like my missus says to me, I couldn't do sales. I says, well, you can talk for Scotland, so you can do sales. Sorry, Lindsay. But it's just talking to people, asking questions. And in Scotland, people want to talk about football. So 90% of your conversations, I bet you, were about football.
Honestly, like, soccer's probably number 4 or 5 sport. But like to Alan's point, like, you could either, but it's the biggest kid sport by a mile, right? So it's either could be the link to the daughter or son playing, or then I could talk NFL, or then you flip to something else. Like, but 90% of my conversations are not related to what I do whatsoever. And I've always just felt people buy for people, and if you get people even just like you a little bit, I think I've always found it quite easy to look at. There's a guy, Johnny Campbell, social talent, that we get put through at Solution Driven early on.
Good guy.
And he said, find the uncommon commonality. What's the link between you and that person? So I've always been able to just somehow find that and get a compelling enough message for somebody to go, aye, all right, I'll talk to you. And that then, if you've got that door in, then I'm like, all right, I can win this year.
Everybody, Chris, like, you can't, and I genuinely mean this, you can't coach Nicky's style. He's had like the stars of a line for him, where his personality with that business, which is unique, like Solution Driven don't. He's right, they're no a recruit. In 20 years in recruitment, I've never seen anybody that works like them. Like, they give 12-month guarantees, 18-month guarantees with some of their hires. Nobody does it, but they do it because they're so good at what they do. And getting him in at the time they got him, as well as them then learning his trade with that company, with a company he was passionate about and wants to run through a door for Gav. It's like the stars have aligned in many ways, but
COVID's been a big, like, you talk about what I've been through in there in 8 years, like, it's wild. I went in as a number 3 or 4 salesperson, and a year later became their kind of a team lead, then manager. That could have went belly up really, really quickly. First thing I did, make the bonus better and make them happy, give a few accounts. Then it was, not only do you don't have sales training, you don't have strategic leadership training. How do I make a budget? How do I convince Gav to give me a budget? How do I convince 50 people now that this is the journey that we're going on, and whatever? I didn't have any of that. But what I did do very, very quickly was 2 things. 1, be a sponge with clients. 2, create a community for myself of people that I wanted to be. So CROs, VP of sales, do you mind if I pick your brain for an hour to just figure out how you've got to where you've got to, and you give me some advice? I was part of a pavilion leadership thing for a while, and they did a kind of mentorship program, and after 6 months the guy was like, I want you to mentor me at this point. Like, not being a dick baby, he was genuinely like that. He was like, all you're using for me is a sounding board, and you're just hoping if I say yes to you, and I keep saying yes to you, just go believe in yourself. And eventually I grew out of that a wee bit, and now it's like, how do I reverse mentor, and how do I get people to think about that more? But COVID was the number one thing that made the business grow and me grow more, because we got more and more, hiring just became a bit more quieter, confidential, and more important. Like, you need people that you can trust without watching them anymore. And people in Scotland don't trust them. They can't see or have a pint with. But that's the business worldwide, right? You've got all these managers that are really subject matter experts and spreadsheet warriors. Like, there's no leaders anymore. And if you can't lead, you're a manager that's been promoted. You probably shouldn't have.
You struggle.
But so difficult. I'm interested in, obviously you're doing well. You got to that stage where you're doing well. What skills and experience did you take from your football time and from the dressing room that you brought into that to get you to that stage?
2 things. one, I've just always been a positive guy.
You're the most positive guy I know. That's a fact.
I've been through that, but one feeds the other here, right? I think it's that positive, which I now call a growth mindset.
Yeah,
and then 2, I think it's resilience, and I think resilience is just overcoming all the shit you've been through,
the injuries and all that.
Like, I think there's only 2 things in life you can do. You can either curl up, you can stress out, you can, be a bore, you can go say, do you know what, shit happens and how. So I've been in some dark days that have lasted a while. My bounce back ability now, I think, is very, very quick. I've lost hundreds of games of football where I never spoke to MD for weeks. I've been injured when I never spoke to MD for months. But now I just refer to that as we didn't win that sale, we'd lost that client, or whatever it may be. That my highs and lows now are much closer together, much more level-headed, and I never let folk know if I'm high or stressed. So genuinely, I've just won one of the biggest deals I've had at Social Driven an hour before this today, and I said it to Alan, he's like, you don't even seem bothered. And then, but for me then, like, if something doesn't happen as well, it's never that bad, right? Think of what's going on in the world, what families have been through, cancers, think of all the stuff that we've done. So for me it's that resilience factor. Brilliant. I think the younger generation just don't have it. You think they go back to the professional game, think of all the players you've played with, all the good teams, they don't make it because they've been mollycoddled and they've been coached to the nth degree. The kids that go and make it have all grafted. You look at even the top players right now, they've had adversity.
But see that, come back to, I think the dressing room's massive for people that are in business as well, because in the dressing room you had to respect everybody. It didn't matter if you were the best player or the worst player. Everybody were in it together. You were all on a team, and it goes back to like that Cole Thistle days. You had to have that respect. And I think in business, it doesn't matter if you're the owner of the company or you're the cleaner in the building. Everybody gets treated with respect because everybody's in it together.
Like I've done this year, I've run a series of future leadership roundtables,
which are brilliant.
Hiring the right leader, creating the DNA of a high performing leadership team. How do you turn a good team into a great team? Everything's the same. It's aligning towards a vision or a goal, being clear, communicating it well. You don't need to like the person next to you, but are we going to help each other get there? See, for no one, need to go.
I also think as well, mate, and I'm not just saying this out of turn, like I think being with you and working with you for 2 years, me and you brought the best out in each other, because we challenged each other in areas where maybe you weren't the strongest or I wasn't strong, and I feel better for coming out the other side of that. Do you know what I mean?
I miss working with that guy every day, but we both took each other to a different stage quicker than we would have. I loved working with him every day. I didn't have that before. I didn't have a friend I was working with, and I had to think long and hard before I went, I want to make this guy part of this as well. But the fact that we were able to make that work, be successful, and still go on to do different things as well was one testament to friendship. But again, it's that to me, it's the leadership mindset that can never got you there.
It's one of the things I said to Chris about the business now that one thing I'm proud about is it's not just the fact we can put boys in, it's the network we're gaining by coming in, being able to speak to Chris, you, other guys that have done the job before, left the sport and into
it. That's the mentorship part again. It's invaluable now because it's just kids now expect an answer yesterday. They say why to everything. Everyone's at the fingertips. AI does all the prep for them. We boys like, and he's my wee boys looking at ChatGPT instead of Google. What's going on? Like, but everything is instant now, whereas we need to figure all of that stuff out for yourself.
But see, like any footballers that are watching this, it's like when you're in that football world, it's football and that's it. You don't think of anything outside of that because you think you're going to be the next David Beckham or Peter Schmeichel or whatever else. When you get that sledgehammer and you're released or you get a bad injury, you don't know what to do. Ends up, most footballers end up becoming working in a factory, taxi drivers, Just Eat delivery drivers. No disrespect to people that do that, but you don't know.
They put their eggs in one basket.
It wasn't their choice, that's the problem. They took it easy.
And all you need to do is all these skills you talked about, they have that from the football world, and all they need to do is be able to talk and have a bit about them, because young people these days, and I know I'm generalising, but they don't really have a lot about them. They want to text somebody, they want to WhatsApp or Snapchat. Footballers are in a dressing room, you need to be able to handle yourself, and a lot of footballers can talk. They can talk, they're confident, and I think any footballers that are watching this, then sales is a big sector to go into.
It's not for everybody, but the people it's for is obviously
Like,
He's changed our lives, innit?
See, when you think sales recruitment, right? We did a survey a while back, and the first couple of words that come up is like sleazy and unprofessional, and
double glazing salesman.
Sales and recruitment don't get the best name out there, but they are both multi-billion, $trillion-dollar industries.
They're the biggest industries in the world.
I don't look at myself as a sales guy. I sell every day.
No.
Just don't do it. And I don't think of myself as being in the. I don't even class us as a recruitment agency. I just class us as we're a business recruitment.
Well, you know this. Somebody told me this about in America, and you'll be able to tell me if this is right or wrong. In Scotland, a salesperson seen as a sleazy, double glazing salesman. In America, all the big businesses put statues of the salespeople in the foyers and at the front of the building.
Listen, the top salespeople in all your Fortune 500 companies make more than the CEO do.
And some of them don't want to take promotions because they're earning that much money in commission. They're like, no thanks.
But I actually think folk are now realising that even in the sales side, that's your skill set and that's where you're good. I don't really want to go and manage people.
Be good at what you're good
and
at.
stop doing what I was good at. I've been there, done that, lost it in bonus because I wanted to become this coach. You can't really fake that. I don't think there's enough maybe investment in business and helping coach leaders or give them the skills to be successful, but you also can't just recruit them all as well. You need to have
the other side as well. There's no investment even bringing people into businesses nowadays. You need to be able to train people. That mentality that, don't know, my first job in recruitment was there's a CRM, go phone everybody. I think it was 10 people and one person made it.
But see,
I mean, it's difficult.
See when you pitched this idea to me, I was like, there's a gap there.
Yep.
Right, there definitely is. And I'd seen people maybe doing just general types of courses with SDRs and whatnot, and I was like, they're just so basic. These people are turning into millionaires overnight. Like the amount, about 40% of the global hires we do are commercial hires.
That's right, yeah.
And see when people talk about in America they call it an athlete mindset. Go find me an athlete, go find me a stud, go find me a rock star, go find me an ex-military or sports person. Why? Because they know they've got scars, they know they've got something about them, they know they've been through stuff, they know they have a level of commitment. Like, it's starting to get a bit less now, that whole 4-year degree stuff. The big, yes, there's subject matter knowledge, of course there is, but a big part of it is knowing that you went to uni, you've seen it out, and you've seen it through. Like, the career skills that you can build by being in sports the transferable skills are insane, how you deal with people.
And don't get me, I mean, obviously, number one thing, not number one thing, but probably the most important thing for people's money. There's good money to be made. You can easily make 6 figures.
Oh, easy.
And you don't need to have a degree, a master's degree or anything like that. You just need to, again, have that work ethic, which again comes from the football world, have the network and be able to speak to people.
I've always felt the harder you work, the luckier you get with stuff as well, to the point now where I don't believe in luck at all. Right, I mean, I think if you graft hard enough and do the right things with the right people for the right time, and I think there's a bit of definitely some process in that to it and stuff like that as well. But you know, like you say, you can come across the right partnerships that can go and open doors for you never thought were possible. You know, and sales can be a profession, but can also be into leadership and customers of customers, and you never know where that could become your next 20-30 year career. And that's the biggest difference, right? I mean, I'd love to do some sort of a round table soon on the link to kind of a pro sports athletes to successful business, right? I'd love to get you guys part of that. But when I think of sport, there's that almost cutthroat. You think of NFL, there's video about it, there's Sports Centre, there's data, they know every, you know, but think of the competition for that one wee place for a career that might last 5 years.
Exactly.
And that's why the guys are getting paid millions. New business, okay, it's no those sprints like that in so many years, it's a bit more longer term. But they don't even take, like, see if you're not doing your job at right back, somebody else comes in and your career's done. See if you don't do that in business, we'll put you in a performance plan for 6 months. Like, I think we need to take a bit more of that approach in life, and you'll get people working that.
That's why there's a skill shortage and good recruiters, good salespeople in the world at the moment, because they don't have that mentality.
And what you do is you get a recruiter that goes, they work for you for 6 months, they'll bounce about, they'll go to somebody else for 6 months, 6 months, bounce about all over the place.
I think a bit of loyalty leads to mentorship, leads to learning. Like, honestly, like, I could have left Susan driven a handful of times. Sorry, Gav, told you about some of them.
We drive to my house.
But they've gave me a platform and gave me autonomy, but they gave me the support to go and learn.
Aye.
And I mean, because we're multi-industry and stuff as well, one, it's great to be able to travel around the world and represent the company, but we work with loads of companies that want to go and make a difference as well. And as I've got older, I've learned to appreciate that more. The work side of it, but also the football side of it. And right now, it's that perfect balance. But I know right now, I'm in a junior dressing room with 10, 12 boys that have no idea what they want to do next.
Yeah.
Genuinely no idea. And I'm like, guys, do something like this. Go meet Alan, spend time with Alan. You'll figure out if it's right for you or no fairly quickly. But you will definitely learn a couple of things that can help put you on that ladder. And if you're on that ladder, then who knows where you could go next.
Well, mate, listen, we've took up more than enough time. I know you've got a stag do to go in the morning, so listen, I appreciate it. And like I said, mate, I think we'll get you back on again in the future. So much more stories we could tell. But thanks for the support today, and have a good holiday, mate.
Thanks very much.
All right.
Take care,
Take care, guys. Thank you.
Cheers.